Thank you, Jen. I know that you don't want to relitigate what happened when Biden wasn't in office and when those emails were sent. You guys were
That's a setup.
Probably not.
Okay.
But has anyone from your team briefed the president on what was in those FOIA Fauci emails?
I'm not aware of him being briefed on the publicly reported emails.
And then, given that there were some things that Fauci said privately that contrasted with what he said publicly, whether it was masks or whether or not someone who had the virus, had immunity, or other questions as well. I mean, does he still have confidence in his NIH director? Does this change anything at all?
No, the president and the administration feel that Dr. Fauci has played an incredible role in getting the pandemic under control, being a voice to the public throughout the course of this pandemic. And again, I would reiterate, a lot of these emails are from 17 months ago or more, certainly predating this administration, but some time ago as we look to history.
This morning on Morning Joe, Anthony Fauci said that one of the ways to get transparency from the Chinese on the origins of COVID-19 was to, quote, "don't be accusatory." Does the president feel that the initial investigation of the origin of the virus, including that WHO survey that your team had deep concerns over, was the problem with that it was too accusatory? I mean, is that a problem that this administration is being accusatory? Or, I mean, is this a situation where, just following the evidence where it leads?
I think our primary objective here has been working with the international community, rejoining the WHO, working with the international community to unite and pressing the Chinese to be transparent, to provide the underlying data so other scientists can take a look at that data, and to participate in a constructive way in the second round of the next phase, I should say, of the WHO investigation. As we noted at the time when we announced our own internal next step here, our 90-day review, one of the things that was happening in the timeline was the Chinese conveying that that was not their inclination. So I can't assess what the impacts are. I can tell you what our position is and what we've been pressing for on the international stage. Go ahead.
Yes, just about the 90-day review, one thing that's not clear is how is it that the U.S. intelligence officials knew about the workers in Wuhan lab, that they knew about them getting sick back in 2019, and then in February, the intelligence officials were saying that they still hadn't ruled out the possibility that the virus came from the lab. But the inquiry didn't happen until late May of this month. And I'm wondering what took the U.S. so long before it launched this.
That's not actually an accurate depiction of the timeline. The president actually asked his intelligence community to look into, to do an internal assessment, which then was presented to him in an internal meeting back in March.
Yes, but the 90-day inquiry that when you're describing, like the full look at this hypothesis, that was not announced publicly, and people were not aware of it until May 26th.
He didn't decide to launch it. The timeline here was, he asked the intelligence team to do an internal review, an internal assessment. When that was done several weeks ago, he asked it to be made public to declassify that information. That goes through a process, sometimes takes a couple of weeks to do. When that assessment was done, we were presented with an option for a public statement, and the president decided we wanted to do a more extensive review and tap into our lab scientists and experts, more of our national security team, to see what more we can uncover over the course of 90 days. That's the timeline.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't saying it, or maybe I was saying it too specific with the dates, but the bigger question is what took the U.S. so long to take it seriously when there were reports about the possibility of this virus coming from there,
We would completely refute that argument or notion. Obviously, the president asked his intelligence team to do an internal assessment, which happens all the time. We rarely talk about that publicly. We obviously took the step to declassify that, and that's something that he did early on in his administration. Go ahead.